Hey everyone, happy Thursday afternoon. It is October 22nd. The election is very near, right? Well, right now we have Christine and Pam with the League of Women Voters, and we're talking all things election. I want to tell you, we want your questions. We're here to answer them. We're talking about the ballots, the ways to vote, also the amendments, and deciphering everything you need to know about that, what a yes vote means, what a no vote means. Christine and Pam, first of all, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
It is.
It is so hard to believe that we are so close. Today I was saying, well, the next 2 weeks are going to be really busy, but then I thought, okay, we're less than 2 weeks away. Let's get right to it, though. Ways to vote. So if you want to start, Pam, and kind of run down the list of what are the ways to vote and the important deadlines that voters need to know about.
Absolutely. There are three ways to vote right now. You can vote by mail, and by which I hope you have already requested a mail-in ballot because it's a little bit late to be requesting one be sent to you. You can take your mail-in ballot, vote in your pajamas, having a cup of coffee at home, and then you can, I would suggest at this point, because of potential delays with the post office, that you drop it at one of the 18 early voting sites or some of the other sites where the supervisor has placed vans that are just picking up mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots are due at the supervisor's office no later than 7 p.m. on November 3rd. Okay, that's exactly when the polls close. For anybody who lives up Palm Beach Gardens, Delray, or Belglade, who is thinking of dropping it off at the supervisor's offices, those satellite offices in those locations, you need to be aware that those offices maintain regular business hours that day, so they close at 5 o'clock. So don't go running to the supervisor's office in Belglade at 6:15, thinking that you're going to drop it off there, because it's going to be too late.
And is that just those three locations then?
Yes, the supervisor's office is going to be open until 7 p.m. On election day, okay? And then we have, pardon me?
Go ahead, sorry.
We have early voting, which has begun already. There are 18 sites around the county. The beauty about early voting, number one, is you can vote anywhere. On election day, the actual election day, November 3rd, people have to go to the precinct that is assigned to their address. But right now with early voting is going to run from now all the way through 6 p.m. on Sunday, November 1st. And you can go just and vote like you normally would on election day, but you'll have a whole lot more options of where and when to vote. And I have to say something, because the lines in some of the voting sites have been really, really long. And I want to tell people there's 18 places. Specifically, the line at Lantana has been up to 3 hours long.
Is there let me interrupt you for a second, Pam. Is there a way where people can find out how long the lines are ahead of time, a resource online or something like that?
There is. It's on the supervisor's website, and they call it a dashboard. Unfortunately, I have found it not to be very accurate so far. But for example, Lantana has been really busy, but Green Acres has been very light. So somebody can, drive 10 minutes and save themselves 2.5 hours of wait time or something. So check. I would go to the supervisor's website, which is pbcelections.org, and click on early voting, and there is a map there. There's a map that shows all of the early voting sites, and it also shows the locations of the vans that are situated in order to pick up vote by mail ballots, where there's not necessarily a voting site there, but they have vans, like Pahokee is one, for example. So they are trying to make it more easy for people to drop their ballot.
And then Pam, one question a lot of people have is how to make sure your vote counts. We hear a lot about ballot mishaps, whether it's mail-in or other ways. Kind of talk me through some of the big issues as far as, let's just start with mail-in ballots, what you need to do to make sure your vote counts as far as the signatures, the privacy sleeve, and then we can move into some of the other issues.
Thank you. Your vote by mail ballot comes with a secrecy sleeve inside. And some people have said, I didn't get a secrecy sleeve. And he said, I got a new one and I didn't get a secrecy sleeve. But if you see the instructions are printed on the outside of the secrecy sleeve. I think that person just didn't realize it was a two-sided.
I've heard that from a lot of people, actually,
Yeah,
that
so
they
that
don't realize the instructions are the
the
secrecy
instructions
sleeve
are
in Palm
part of
Beach
the
County.
secrecy
Yeah.
sleeve. Yeah, exactly. And so you take that and you insert it into your you do your voting, and then you insert it in the sleeve, and everything goes inside your white envelope. Now, there have been a few issues with the white envelopes, the return envelopes, because it's been raining, and some of the return envelopes have ended up sealed already, and they cannot be opened. So what what you need to do is just take a knife or a letter opener and slit it across the top, slide your ballot in, tape it up. But I want to say, sign your name on top of the tape so the supervisor knows that that ballot was, inserted by you. Okay. And then once
So
again,
let's just make sure to clarify that. So you're saying, if say the envelope is kind of like sticky and stuck together, when you open it, it's not going to be that clean open. If you have to tape it, make sure you're signing over the tape.
sign over the tape. Exactly.
Okay.
Sign on top of the tape. And then you need to sign on the back of the white envelope, the return envelope, anywhere where it says, you write in your name, and then you sign, and please put your email address and your phone contact so that the supervisor can contact you in case there's an issue with the signature or some other issue. The supervisor is obligated. They are required to contact people whose signatures don't match. They make an effort, and so if there's a cell phone number where they can be texted or called, or an email address, that's going to be much faster. And if there's
sorry, we did get a question, Pam. People are asking, is there a way to find out kind of where your ballot is in the process to make sure that it has been counted?
Yes. If you go to pbcelections.org and you click on Track My Ballot, it will bring you down, and you'll see there's it's sort of a fat arrow with a chevron, like four chevrons. One says your ballot was requested, then it says it was sent to you, and then it says received, and then counted or tabulated. I don't know what the word is. It's not going to show that it's been counted until after the polls close at 7:01 p.m. on election evening. There you go. There's the button for Track Your Ballot.
Yep.
So if everything is blue, if it says it's been received and it is in blue, that means your ballot is being counted. Now, if there's an issue with a signature or something, that's going to be red or orange. It's going to be a different color. Okay. But as long as everything there is blue, you're good. And you will be sure that your ballot has probably already been counted, but they can't put the numbers up until when the polls close. So here you'll see about 7:01 or 2 or 3 p.m. on election night, there's going to be, a couple 100,000 votes put up, and those are going to be your vote by mails and the early voting.
Aside from, say, the vote by mail, what are some issues to ensure everything is good for your vote? I mean, I know the pen color matters. That is vote by mail, but
use the black pen. This is just like SATs, just like your standardized testing that you do in high school. You have to fill in the little oval carefully. Try not to make any extraneous marks on the ballot that the machine might not understand, and then it will have to go to hand counting and everything. If you make a mistake, and this is the same for if you're voting by mail at home and you dump a cup of coffee. I had somebody call, and my husband dumped a cup of coffee. If you dump a cup of coffee, call them and they'll say, okay, we'll cancel that ballot, come in and pick up a new. Okay, so you can do it. You can actually get up to 3 ballots. So if you dump 2 cups of coffee, you can get that third ballot. Now, if you're at the polls and you make a mistake, once again, you just go to the deputy there and say, I made a mistake. I need to cancel this ballot, and may I have another one? So you can certainly do that. But the important thing is to only vote for one person, for one candidate in a particular section. Make sure that you're not, excuse me. Make sure that you're not voting for 2, or what they call an overvote, then it won't count.
Okay, so all good information. I mean, it's a lot to take in, but this will sort of live on our social media forever, so people can come back and look at it. But we should probably switch gears here a little bit and talk about the amendments because as people are starting to fill out ballots, whether it's early voting, mail-in, and getting ready for election day to vote in person as well, of course, there are going to be amendments. So, Christine. Let's talk a little bit about the amendments and run through them, just the basic facts on each one and what a yes would mean or a no.
Thank you, Tori. I will do that. First thing I want you to know is that we have 6 amendments. The first 4 are citizen driven, and the last 2 are from the Florida legislature. I want to give you just one heads up that the Florida Constitution establishes rules and basic rights, and that 60% or a supermajority of the votes of the amendment cast are required to pass an amendment. And so you know that that's really, really important. Amendment 1. What is it and who sponsored it? It's sponsored by Florida Citizens Voters. What it is it replaces the phrase every citizen of the United States with the phrase only a citizen of the United States. There's discussion on both sides of why you do that, but I'll move forward to what a yes vote would mean. It replaces that one word. A no vote would keep the current language. What is the current language? The current language is, and I quote, every citizen of the United States who is at least 18 years of age and who is a permanent resident of the state, if registered as provided by law, can vote. That's Amendment 1 in its entirety. Amendment 2, it's sponsored by Florida for a fair wage. What does Amendment 2 do? Amendment 2 is an increase in minimum wage. It's an increase of $1 a year. So in 2021, it would go from $8.56 to $10, and every year after that in September, it would go up to $1 until in 2026, it would become $15. What does $8.56 an hour mean to you? That is $17,800 a year if you work a 40-hour work week. What does $15 mean to you? If you earn $15 an hour for 40-hour work week again, that's $31,200. One of the things that I'd like you to know is that when you're thinking about this one, the average rent in Florida is $1,241 a month or $14,892 per year. And if you see that the $8.56 per hour is bringing in $17,800 and rent at a very low rate, the average rate would be costing $14,892. You can see most people making the minimum wage are young, often female, and often Black or Latino.
So, Christine, just to talk a little bit about for Amendment 2, a vote yes would mean you are for the incremental increase through the year 2026, and no would mean maintaining the current rate.
At $8.56. Perfect.
Okay.
Amendment 3. Amendment 3 is sponsored by All Voters Vote. And what it is it is making, instead of the current primary system that we have now, it would be a single, nonpartisan primary system. What we have now is called a closed primary system, where voters must be registered with a party to vote in the primary elections only. And so what this does by having that single primary system, the top 2 vote getters on a general election would move forward. That's important for you to know that. All state candidates would be shown on the single ballot and their party would not be beside it. Just in case somebody uses different languages, top highest or top 2 also is called jungle or blanket primaries. When would this come in effect? 2024. What would a yes vote mean? You would establish a top 2 open primary system for primary elections for a limited number of positions, including state legislators, governor, and cabinet. What would a no vote mean? A no vote means that you keep the current system of closed primaries held by each political party.
So in other words, Christine, just to simplify it even more, if you are a registered independent, what would this mean for you if it was a yes?
If it was a yes, that would mean that as a registered independent, you and every other candidate from every other party would be on the same ballot, and nobody would know that you're an independent. If you would not have a separate primary.
So you could vote in the primaries.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, that's my example.
Okay. And then moving on, I guess we have Amendment 4 is the next one.
We do. Amendment 4 is sponsored by Keep Our Constitution Clean. It is voter approval of constitutional amendments. And what it does is it's asking that instead of having one term, so that if you get 60% of those votes right now, that moves forward with the 60% to go on the Constitution. What this amendment does, it is asking for 2 times that you have to get this 60%, so that it has to be done twice. And so it would have to be voted on, and then at the next election, you would have to vote on it again. It's called a pass twice amendment. It would definitely greatly increase the difficulty amending the Constitution in the future. What would a yes vote mean? It would require voter-approved constitutional amendments to be approved by voters at a second general election to enact the amendment. What would a no vote do? It would maintain the current requirement of 60% approval, but in only the single election for passage of constitutional amendments.
Gotcha.
Amendment 5 and Amendment 6 are both originated by the Florida legislature. They both are related to the Save Our Homes and amendment and our homestead properties, and they both are tax issues. So Amendment 5, what does it do? It extends the period for transferring Save Our Homes benefits from 2 to 3 years, effective January 21st, 2021. What it does is it addresses a problem with affordability. Because it's in January, if someone sells their house in December, they have almost a year and a month to sell their home and buy a new home. If indeed they sell it in January, they only have that year and 1 month. And so it extends it so people have a longer period of time. What does the Save Our Homes benefit do? A lot of people don't understand that. What it does is it simply places a limitation of 3% of any annual assessment increases on homestead properties in Florida. What does a yes vote do? Well, it would extend it for the extra year. A no vote would leave it as is.
So it would extend it from 2 years to 3 years.
And that's for the people, depending on when you sell the house, you'll either get the full 3 years or you'll get the full 2 years, depending on when you sell the house.
Okay. And then last one, Amendment 6. It's a lot to get through, right?
You know, there were so many amendments in the last one, 6 seems minimal.
Right, there you go. But not to the people voting, right? To make sure they're educated and know what all these amendments are.
That's exactly why we're here, and we're delighted to do it. This one, of course, is also originated by the Florida legislature. And what it is about is an ad valorem tax discount for spouses of certain deceased veterans who had permanent combat-related disabilities. And so it's limited to a very small amount of people. Again, I will say that. What does it actually do? So it would allow existing homestead property tax, again, both of these are homestead property taxes that we're talking about, Amendments 5 and 6, to be transferred to a surviving spouse of, again, a deceased, permanently combated, injured veteran. Right now, if a veteran passes away, that benefit for the homesteading is not passed on. The benefit is only effective until the spouse remarries, sells the house, or disposes of the property. It has an impact on reducing property tax revenue. However, it is something that probably does not affect a large amount of people. What would ES do? It would extend traditional tax relief to surviving spouses of displaced veterans who were permanently disabled by combat-related injuries. What's a no mean? The no means that we continue as is, that when the veteran passes on, that the benefit is done. And so those are the six. If you look in the League's voter guide, you can find more details. You can get that online or the hard copy. And of course, if you have any questions now, we would be delighted to answer them.
Right. You know, I appreciate your time, you know, talking about the ballots, the voting, the amendments. I just want to throw it out there again. If anyone watching has any questions, now is your opportunity to ask them. No questions too small or too big when it comes to the elections, but this, you know, I'm sure we'll get questions that sort of stem from this video that we've done here, this live broadcast. And is there anything that you think we missed about voting that people need to know, as far as just being able to get that vote in? What do they need to know? Did I miss anything with either one of you?
I don't think so. I just want to say, you know, go prepared to the polls. Do your homework before you leave. You can print up your sample ballot from the PBC election, so you have it in your hand, you have it marked, you have your choices, and you go and you can be in and out of the voting booth in about 3 minutes.
So Pam, would you say it is helpful to go on and look at the sample ballots before you,
Totally.
Christine as well, before you go, so you have an idea of the wording and everything, and you can do your
print
research?
a copy and take it with you too. You know, so you have a cheat sheet
So
right there.
fill it out ahead of time and then.
Yeah, just have it there. Yeah.
But if you do that, know that you can't bring it in with you. You can take a picture of it, but if nobody wants to double vote, so know that if you fill it out ahead of time, unless you've got it in that mail-in, you can't bring it in. They'll destroy it and you fill it in again. So some people have taken picture with their phones because they say, oh my goodness, how did I want to vote on whichever issue that they wanted to vote on? And what I would like to add is that it's so important that every single one of us votes, and we vote our values. That means that being educated and knowing where you stand gives your voice that extra power of having the answers and the questions that you have answered.
And you guys got a thank you from Christine here, so I want to thank you as well. Extremely helpful going through all of this. I think, you know, unless there's some other questions, we'll probably just wrap it up, and I will continue probably to call both of you with my questions as I cover this over the next, you know, couple weeks or so.
We are available. It's what we do.
It was delightful working with you and Peter, and of course Pam. And thank you. Any questions that you have in the future, we'd be delighted to answer them.
All right, good luck. I know one of you is hiding your grandchild in the other room, so I'm sure they're ready to come running through the doors. We'll see you all later. Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks for the informative information. Bye.
Bye-bye now.